Hello and welcome to BonkTable. This is another Conquest battle report. My hands are in the air. You can't see it, but I don't care. I participated in a small local event the other day, and by the other day I literally mean yesterday of the time of recording. When you guys see this, I'm gonna be really honest, I don't know when you're gonna see this. You're probably gonna see it in December. This happened in November, so you know, have fun. But we got 2 rounds. It was fine. You don't need big events to go out and have fun. I'm glad I got 2 games in one day. It was super fun. So I played the good old Dweghom Frenzied Flame list into Wadrhun Infantry and Sorcerer Kings. What had, I don't know what you would classify it. It was like the one of everything kind of list. It had one of everything. It was like, oh, okay, so there's a lot of variety in there. So let's get into the games and let's go. So here is Wadrhun. It is turn 2. Well, this is my turn quotes 1 photo. I forgot to take a turn 1 photo, and I won first on the second turn, and so I already moved my Flame Berserkers, as you can see, into the forest to not get shot by slingers. But basically in turn 1, my opponent got on both his slinger units, and I got on 3 Flame Berserks, and I'm already trying to make a pathway to kind of slam in and move across the table in that direction. My opponent's setting up his slingers in such a way to start getting some plink damage in. My opponent and I have talked before about keeping the slingers together. Like, basically, I'll just do it in purple, like side by side, and just really push a front there. I feel like splitting the slingers, you're just getting one of your slinger units jebaited, and they're not like supporting each other at that point because they're too far away. Like, if one of these slinger units gets caught, I'm gonna do it in orange, this guy, the other slinger unit can't come and help, and if they die, then the other slinger unit is just gonna go and then has to make suboptimal plays. Like, maybe you wanted to hold them back a little longer and wait until more things came in, but now because the other unit died, they have to go, so it's like, eh. So usually in this situation, because your range units, especially the slingers, are so good, just kind of keep them together. That's really it. So that's turn 1. We're playing, I think, breakout, zones. For terrain, buildings are buildings. I don't know, this thing, and this thing, they're like broken ground. Those are buildings. And, got the woods, hindering, obscuring, and then 2 hills. There we go. Alright, let's go turn 2. Okay, here we go, turn 2. So, good things that happened. Bad things that happened, I don't know. Good things that happen are this this Flame Berserk unit gone to the woods. Then these slingers, just rolled up and shot. My opponent's list, a lot of it has Vanguard, so he's really high up the table. I, for myself, are just playing a really fast list. And I get a bunch of stuff on, like I get both my Kirawas and Magma Forge, and I get another hold Reagh and his hold warriors. So, realizing on the right side that the table's like very saturated for stuff, and also that I have 3 units of Flame Berserks in a position right now to just kind of march charge stuff for the next turn, or not march charge, like get into things. It's going to be really easy for me to kind of start trading up pieces, and then my opponent's going to have less pieces to trade into me, and that's the whole point of the list, is just to piece trade and be up on the piece trade. Over on the right side, I'm already making a play for this zone with the hold warriors, and then have the Flame Berserkers kind of push out from there. My opponent's countering with just his Braves. What's fine, but with these 2 units, I should be able to kill a unit of Braves and then take it and push out. The middle Flame Berserks, I'm using the objective to not get charged or anything, but I can charge out of it. My opponent will have to get the drop on me first, though, to get these, like, Braves, or not these Braves, these Blooded here, so they can kind of, zone me and then keep their slingers safe, and that'll be a problem, but I'm kind of just like, I'll go for it. Those slingers shot those Flame Berserks at some point in the game, and then kind of shuffled around, so I was like, whatever. Both Magma Forge are just kind of run up the table to support that left flank, and I want to kind of hit it and then wheel it around into that juicy center. I'll circle it in orange over here where my opponent has all this stuff. He also got his cock on the field. Please clean your clock. That's it. Another good thing, though, my opponent did was he ran up the hunting pack to screen the slingers, because he knows I'm going for the slingers. He knows that I will go right for his range units and just kill them. He knows that Flame Berserkers kill slingers, and he's just trying to, he has a little bit of, I guess, PTSD for the last time we have played, where he's like, I gotta keep my slingers alive, hunting pack, be deployed. A much better play from the previous times my opponent and I have played is that he's dropped his vets here to push a zone and like take and hold it, and he's got a lot of killing power in those vets, and he's got plenty of targets for those vets to go into. The only thing he now has to worry about is not to get swarmed by the Flame Berserkers and Magma Forge. But we'll see how that goes as the game develops. So that's turn 2. Let's go to turn 3. Here's turn 3! Yay! So things that went on. First things first, I believe I win the roll-off. I get a unit of Flame Berserks into my opponent's slingers. They die. My opponent counters with a blooded at some point. Kills off the Flame Berserks. I roll dog shit. So my opponent gets like 10 hits. I'm like, oh, okay. So I should be able to make, you know, 5 saves. No, I make 0 saves, take 10 wounds, I'm down to 2 goddamn health, and then I fail like 2 resolve and just die. And it's just like, fuck, god damn it, game. Flame Berserks, you could have hung out there a little longer. This is bullshit. Anyway, to counter that, these Flame Berserks go into those hunting pack, kill them. Slingers, I believe they sling. I forget who they shoot at. They shoot at somebody. I think they might have shot at these guys, or they shot at these guys. It doesn't really matter. They sling, but they're next. As you can see, like, double Magma Forge are coming up. My opponent charges his vets into my Flame Berserks before my Flame Berserks could have got off. I probably should have charged my Flame Berserkers into his vets. They would have been like a 3 or something to get in. And then I could have done a bunch of damage and then kept the vets off the zone. Would have been really good. But also I scored that left zone last turn. But anyway, it would have been really good. But I went for the hunting pack because it was right there. And I thought, you know, like, do your easy fights first. I wasn't thinking that he would do the vets so early. So if I could have redone this, yeah, you know, like dump my Flame Berserks into the vets, then the other Flame Berserks into the hunting pack, because the hunting pack were much lower on the list, but that's fine. I'm already, you know, you don't know what your opponent's deck is going to do, so it doesn't really matter. These Magma Forge need a 5 to get in. I roll a 2 and they just move up a couple inches, so they'll be in their next turn. But I also have these other Magma Forge who kind of run up and are going to side charge those veterans, so he's going to get clapped between double Magma, and that's going to be super fun for me. In response, my opponent drops his Thunder Riders onto the table to support that flank, because it's starting to collapse pretty fast. Once those Flame Berserks get into the Slingers and the Magma Forge get into the Veterans, it's just going to be really bad for him. So that's kind of what's going on the left side. So I feel pretty good on that left side. Over on the right side, you know, Wadrhun gets into the zone, you know, scoring that. Flame Berserk's also in the zone, so they're scoring that. My opponent scores this zone, so I believe for this scenario, the outside zones count as an additional point. So I scored 3 last turn. My opponent's going to score 3. I'm going to score 3 this turn, so we're fine there. We have to kill the objectives in the middle to score anything in the middle, so no one's really worried about that. My opponent runs his Braves up. He doesn't charge into my Flame Berserks, and the reason why he doesn't do this is because my Hold Warriors are like one of my last cards in my deck, and I have more cards than him, especially after killing 2 regiments in a character, so he's down 3 cards before they even activated, what's super good for me. Now my opponent is like, okay, if I charge the Flame Berserks, I'm going to go through the Hindering Woods, I'm going to lose Impact, I'm going to lose Inspire, I'm not going to kill Flame Berserks, then the Hold Ray and the Hold Warriors are going to side charge me, and they're going to be in the zone, they're going to start cutting me up. And so he's kind of also, so he doesn't want to like commit just yet, because he doesn't want to just trade for nothing, and that's smart on him, but he needs to allow his Braves and his Cock to be able to hit me at the same time. But right now the Cock is behind the Braves, and so if the Braves get engaged, the Cock's not getting in there, and it's gonna kind of be real bad. I follow up this with a midline Drake, so I have plenty of targets here with this Drake. This Drake is either going to go to the left through this gap and into those blooded. The Drake is either going to go for this ejector marker, or this Drake is going to go to the right to the Cock and the Braves. And so for that position, I'm like, okay, so that Drake is really going to get some work done and kind of crumple the right flank. There's not really anything left in the middle. I think my opponent has one more card to bring onto the table next turn, and I have another Drake and another unit of Hold Warriors. So let's go to turn 4 and see how that goes. All right, here we go. So things that go on. My opponent wins the roll-off. Vets into the Magma Forge. kills them. I'm like, oh, that's not great. I decide to have my Magma Forge, who activate, because I didn't win the roll-off, charge into his slingers, kill off his slingers, I'm happy. And then my Flame Berserks, I'll just do it in orange, shoot across and get into the flanks of the Thunder Riders, Aura of Death, they take 4 damage. The Thunder Riders reform and just like roll really well, I roll really bad, Flame Berserks just die. Good job. My opponent does bring around his Blooded this way to get, like, you know, fight these Magma Forge. I'm up on points by a lot, and my opponent's just trying to, like, you know, recover points. So he's, you know, trying to, like, he's doing well on the left side, and now I need to reestablish the left side to keep the grind going. And so that's why I put in my Hold Warriors here. They just Vanguard right up, right in front of those veterans, so that they cannot get into the Ironclad Drake, who then just runs, like, right behind the Hold Warriors. So if the Hold Warriors go first, you know, they're going to do some damage to the veterans, nothing too crazy, but it's going to lock them down. And then the Drake itself can get into those vets, and then I can hopefully just kill off all the vets. His Blood in the middle goes into my objective. Impacts, I make all the saves, he doesn't roll very high, and then just does 1 wound on a clash. But those Blooded are now engaged with that objective, so I basically have 3 turns of him sitting there doing nothing with that regiment. So I'm like, okay, cool. That regiment is unintentionally tied up right now. I will then go and look at killing other things, because if I just kill all my opponent's army, I'm going to be in a really good spot, so I kind of turn into that. My opponent side shuffles, charges into the flank of the Flame Berserkers. The Flame Berserkers reform and attack and kill off like a stand and a half of Braves. Hold Reagh just kind of runs up the table. just kind of looking to get around those Flame Berserks. Ironclad Drake, who was sitting here, he's looking. I look at it. I'm like, he's one of the last cards on my deck. My opponent backs off his cock and just reforms them. I go for it. I just Barch charge into the back of like the Braves, and they just insta die. They just take like 5 wounds and then fail a bunch of resolve, and they just blow up and they're dead. So that frees up the Braves, and then on my second action, I just reformed to face forward again, and it was just like, okay. So if the Chosen get into the Drake, there's going to be Flame Berserks, there's going to be Hold Warriors, and if the Chosen go first, if I go first, that Drake is going to be going into the Chosen, blowing those up. So the right side is crumpled, there's still a battle for the left side, and the middle is just being held up by an ejector marker, so I feel I'm in a really good spot. My opponent and I both score 3 or 2. I think it's swapped at this point, I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, I'm still up on a bit of points. My opponent's getting some points, but he's still bleeding regiments back and forth, and let's go to the next turn. I think it'll be turn 6. I believe this is turn 6. I'm not counting. I win one of us wins the roll-off. I believe I might have won the roll-off. No, maybe he won the roll-off. I don't remember. Anyway, Drake into Chosen of Conquest, and then Hold Warriors at a later point into Chosen Conquest kill them all. That wipes out that side, and Flame Berserkers just kind of run up and move there and shimmy a little bit, and they score that zone. Cool. Other moves that go on, Vets impact, clash, and kill off the Hold Warriors. Drake counters, kills off 2 stands of Vets, and now they're engaged. Kurwan Magma Forge, side charge, not side charge, but he does this big freaking wheel into the Blooded, kill them off, Blooded activate. They have like a couple wounds left. They make a bunch of Aura of Death saves, so they have 1 wound left, so they're still alive. I thought I was going to get rear charged by the Thunder Riders. I was kind of like fine with that, to be honest, because it's like your stuff is over there. I'm not worried. I'm already controlling the right side, and I'm going to start moving everything from the right over to the left and just kind of Goomba stomp my way across. But my opponent decides to then run his Thunder Riders reform and just runs them up into the zone to score it. Yeah, there we go. He's looking to maintain points, and I guess he's like worried about the Drake. He still would have got points here. I don't know if he just like forgot about that. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but he was still scoring there. But I don't think he had the confidence that that Drake was going to die anytime soon. Because, like, you know, that Drake goes again, it probably just like rips through the entire regiment, especially if they don't get what is it, Conquest chanting off for Evasion 2. Like, that Drake is just gonna be like, okay, you're on 1s, like, have fun. And now that he's lost the size bonus with Terrifying 2, it's just going to be even worse for him as the Drake kind of keeps going into that regiment. So I guess he's trying to like reinforce that zone so he doesn't just lose it all. But that Magma Forge now just has free reign to go kill those Blooded and then swap around and come back for those Thunder Riders. So that was, I would believe, a misplay, because you need to kind of get rid of the stuff your opponent's doing. Lastly, my opponent fights over this objective again and does another point of wound. Alright, next turn. This might be 6 or 7. I really couldn't tell you guys. Hold Warrior. Hold Rain, Hold Warriors. Reform back into the zone, store it. Flame Berserks. Decide to charge the objective. Fail the charge roll. Doesn't matter. At some point, the Ironclad Drake reforms and charges the Blooded. The Blooded stab the Ironclad Drake. They also stab the ejector marker, so they kill the ejector marker for 3 points, but they don't score the zone because there's a Drake in the way who's eating them. I'm just going right to left. My Wardens. I'm pretty sure they just kill the Blooded. Or the Blooded die to Aura of Death, and the Wardens reform and then just kind of march this way. So, you can try and get on the zone. The Ironclad Drake, we'll do you in orange. Kills the Vets. Just wipes them out. The Thunder Riders, do it in purple. Charge, trample, kill the Ironclad. That's it. That's them. So yeah, I'm scoring another like 2 points. More stuff for my opponent is dying. He doesn't really have any much left, and I just need to kind of just run across the table and take everything. So I believe the next turn is the last turn. So next turn is turn 7. All right, here we go. So Thunder Riders reform and march onto the zone. Magma Forge. Roll the charge, get in, clash, kill off 2 stands, hang out with, you know, the rest of it. They're on that zone, so they score that zone. Drake kills these guys. They're dead. They do not pass go. They have to collect $200. Flame Berserks get onto the objective, do a point of damage. These guys score. So after that, my opponent calls it. There's no way that his one Thunder Rider is going to kill off all this Magma Forge before the Magma Forge kill off the Thunder Rider. I'm going to take that objective next turn with the Drake is going to reform and then charge the objective, and the Flame Berserkers are going to stab it, so I have enough damage in that to take it, and then I have a guy on the zone to score it, and that's going to be 8, 9, 10 of scoring all 3 zones. It's going to get me a bunch of points, and I think I ended like 58, 54 to... no, I think it was 58 to 5, so did really good here. Tabling my opponent. Showed the strengths of Frenzied Flame. Overall, really good game. For things that I probably could have got better was to... No, I wouldn't say the second Drake on the left there was a bad idea. It was just... maybe have rotated my Magma Forge. I'll just do it. So I think it was like turn 3 or 4. These Magma Forge could have been like rotated more to get into the flank of those Vets, because the Vets got the drop on the other Magma Forge, and that didn't give the second Magma Forge a good target. What then forced me to go into the Slingers to get work done. And then, but it, like, I think one of my opponent's mistakes was not having those Thunder Riders go into the back of the Magma Forge and kill them off. Yeah, he would be not on the zone or like later to follow up on the Ironclad, but like then you have another Blooded stand who can sit on that zone for the rest of the game, and then have the Thunder Riders be free to run around, because like when the Thunder Riders are locked down on that zone, they're not getting a lot of work done. They're stuck being an objective trud, while I have a bunch more stuff on the right side of the table making its way to the left side of the table. So you're just in a bad spot, and I could, you know, we could just be contested on score, and then last turn I could just run a Drake onto the zone and be 3 stands or something if it really was close, but it wasn't. So that's really it. Overall, good game. Let's get into the second game. Alright, so here's game 2. I'm playing into Sorcerer Kings. My opponent has kind of like one of everything. So he's got a Goal, he's got Steelheart, he's got 1 Flame Caster, he's got 1 Flame Dancer, he's got 1 Divernian Archer, he's got a MUHUT, he's got a Saska, the Tiger guy. I don't know. So I'm like, oh, okay, so he's, you know, he's got one of everything. That's fine. He's got a bunch of upgrades. His MUHUT and his Maharaja Warlord who's riding that thing is just like stacked to their eyeballs and just buffs. Like, The Dancing Scimitar was a fun little thing where he's like, yeah, just take 3 AP2s. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I just take 3 AP2s. There's like nothing I can do. This is awesome. And he just has a 12-inch circle of 3 AP2s. And he's casting spells. The MUHUT's doing shit. I'm just like, wow, there's a lot of offensive power out of this MUHUT. The thing heals and has a healing bubble around it. I'm like, wow, this MUHUT just does not want to die. So, MUHUT with the Warlord, with Lord of Conflict, with the Dancing Scimitar. All really good, as I have found out. Really, really, really good. Lots of buffs, lots of things coming out of that thing. It was really solid. You'll see how that went in this game, because my god, that thing was just like, I was like, I got it, and then it was like, oh no! But here's turn 1. I got double flame berserks. We're playing on melee, so I'm immediately like trying to get these zones here and here. There's this building here that I'm wandering around. It's fine. My opponent with his goals is running up into the zone. He's gonna drop his sorcerer next turn and cast a score spell on them. So you know we're kind of doing the same thing. Let's get into turn 2. Okay, turn 2. So here we go. I get another flame berserk, double magmas. My other flame berserkers are on the zone, so I score 7. Bloop, bloop. Not getting super aggressive. I probably could have been a little more aggressive. My opponent also scores this zone with the goals. And then he gets, his archers up the table and his steelheart up the table. Looking to get some work done. I'm kind of looking at it too, where I'm like, okay, how am I going to deal with the steelheart? How am I going to deal with the archers? How am I going to deal with all these things? Like, there's a bunch of stuff in here that I can actually deal with pretty handily. There's also a bunch of things that happen that are like, wow, my dice hate me. Let's keep going. So that's really turn 2. Already putting on the early scoring. Let's get into turn 3 where the action starts happening. Here's turn 3. So first things first. My opponent wins the roll off. I believe he makes goals score again off of the sorcerer. So at some point the goals go there. But anyway, and then the archers like back up and shoot into my flame berserk. So now my flame berserks don't really have a good target to kind of like march charge into the archers, because that's what I was initially going to do to lock them down. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to get these guys to go into the goals. I need a 3. I roll a 2 twice or something and I don't get it. So I just move up like a couple inches. And I'm like, oh, okay, well that happens. Next one, these flame berserks just do a reform and a movement to basically have it so that when the Steelheart charge them, their flank is exposed to the Magma Forge. The Magma Forge are like one of the last things in my deck. I have more cards than my opponent. I'm waiting for that to happen. To follow up for those flame berserks that are going to get hit, I put the other flame berserks here. I get both my drakes, and this I think this was a mistake. And by think I mean I believe it was a mistake because I had enough work on the left side. I didn't need to commit another drake. My opponent drops his flame dancers, so these are the sword flame guys. I'm like, oh, okay, well they're gonna hit those other flame berserks, but my Magma Forge are into the Steelheart, so Magma Forge should be able, with Inspired Clash, kill off Steelheart, who have a Raj who's all buffed up in there, especially in the flank, stuff like that. Kind of like, you should be able to do this, and then Flame Berserks can get there, and then it's Flame Dancers versus Magma and Flame, and then, I trade and I'm good. And then it's, which side will he drop the Monster Hunter monster, the Rashashka? But I'm going to say this is a mistake dropping this Ironclad. Yes, it wins me this flank very handily, but I should have had them in orange over beside the second one. You'll see why as the turns develop. Next couple things I do is I start vying for positioning, Flame Berserks, Magma, all pushing forward, scoring zones. I believe no one scores this left zone because we're tied on stands. And then my Hold Warriors Vanguard off the flank and score this zone. So I get 7 points, my opponent gets another 2. Already up, this is what I'm looking for to do. And I drop my other Ironclad Drake to help out and, eventually get into the MUHUT. That's really what's going there. My opponent, in response, has his Rajakur, who's going to get into the zone after the goals die. Flame Casters, who are going to hopefully keep the archers safe as more and more melee threats keep kind of bum rushing them. But I'm already thinking like, okay, the left side's going to collapse. Then I'm going to get into his juicy middle, and then I'm going to have to deal with his MUHUT and his other guy. Let's see how that goes. So let's go turn 4. Here's turn 4. As I said again, over here on the left, Steelheart die. My opponent long bombs the flame, dancers into the flame berserks, kills off a stand. Ironclad at the end of the turn, charges and kills them. I've claimed that zone, I'm happy. Cool. Other things that happen is the flame casters, shoot these flame berserks. These flame berserks just back up because they're one stand and they rally. Hold warriors just come onto the table to fill up some gaps there. Flame berserks, I believe they kill goals. So flame berserks kill goals. I guess side charge. MUHUT kills flame berserks. Magma Forge charge into the MUHUT, do a bunch of damage, but then the Maharaja starts casting and throwing out his scimitar and doing a ton more damage. And then the Raja Cure get onto the zone, but I think I'm broken, but because of how the stands work, I'm like 3 contesting stands to his stand, so he doesn't score that zone. And then I scored the right zone, and because these Flame Berserks have rallied and moved back, I also score that zone, so that's going to be, was that 6, 2, and 2, so that's going to be 10 points right there. So already shooting up in points, but I'm kind of getting like, stuff is just dying, and I'm not trading into things very well right now. And if I had that second Drake, could have been right here, could have had double Drake on a MUHUT going for it. And I just moved this other Drake up so that it's not engaged to the MUHUT. It can, how do I say this? Like, it can go and, like, he has to kill the Magma Forge and the Drake can get in. I can just get a charge clash instead of it being in there already. Like, it's just like, stay back there kind of thing. I don't need to be that close just yet. So yeah, that's really it. So let's go to turn, I believe 5? Oh, and this guy deploys. He stayed super far away because I could have gotten, like, I believe some weird charge off if he was closer with the Hold Warriors. And so he just stays further back so that if I try my Hold Warriors, I'll, like, hit this building. It's fine, I don't care. The Raja Core can do a ton of damage, but also can come from downtown, so gotta be careful about that. So anyway, let's go to turn 5. Here's turn 5. Things that go on. Archers shoot these Magma Forge. So like my left side here, Flame Berserks holding the zone, Ironclad and Magma Forge making their way towards that juicy archer pool right there. They get shot. Flame Casters, I believe, shoot these Hold Warriors at some point. Magma Forge die. Raja Cure charge into the side and kill off the Magma Forge. Something going on there. And then, oh no. Yeah, Magma Forge die. Drake gets into MUHUT, does a ton of damage. Raja Core get into the side of the Drake and like kill it off with their bit of attacks with the MUHUT and everything. So it was just enough. If the Raja Core didn't get there, the Drake would have lived. And probably could have, if I got the drop on my opponent next turn, I probably could have taken the MUHUT. It was one of those, supremacy dice rolls, but he had the Raja Core followed up. I then put my Hold Warriors into the side of the Raja Core. I do barely any damage. I get like triple charge from this guy, but because the Hold Ray and his regiment's in the zone, I'm always going to score this. I do some damage, but nothing too crazy. I score this, I score that, so I get another 10 points. And I think my opponent is scoring this, so he's going to get 2. So he's down on points, but he's starting to kill stuff and be in a really good spot. I've lost the Drake, and now I'm kind of looking at like, okay, it's turn 5. I'm up on a lot of points. My opponent's not, but I have nothing dangerous on the right side, and he has dangerous stuff. So I need to kind of kill off more of his stuff, and I need to hold on to what I got for as long as possible to kind of score out and win. And that's where my game plan goes from here. It's now no longer trying to kill more of my opponent's stuff. It's now turning into kill enough things so that I have 1 more point than my opponent by the end of the turn, or the end of the game. So let's go through the rounds and see if I achieve that. Here's turn 6. MUHUT, Raja Core, all that stuff. They kill off the Hold Warriors. So both Hold Warriors die. These guys die. These guys die. Sweet. MUHUT just spins around, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna do MUHUT things, and just stand on the zone. So my opponent scores 7. Good on him. I, in response, get a Drake into the side of the archers, rip them apart and kill them. Magma Forge get into the side of the flame casters and kill them down to 1 stance. They're probably going to die next turn. And I score 7 as well. Boop, boop. So now we're tied, so now I'm not too worried. I'm just, like, need to not have him score my stuff and not catch him on points. So I hope everyone likes this part of the not podcast, the bow report. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, not turn 7, this is turn 6. Okay, so we're going to 7. Here we go, turn 7. Things that go on. Magma Forge, kill the Flamecaster. And now this is where I make a mistake. I don't respect the threat range of the MUHUT, and I'm still within 12 inches, and I should have literally just backed up. I should have just backed up with my second action, and then I would have been outside of range of the Scimitar, who he keeps throwing, of his spells. And then, because the MUHUT's lower on the stack, I would have been out of all that, and I wouldn't have lost my Magma Forge to the Maharaja. I then, shove me around the Drake, and my opponent once again gets within 12 inches of the Drake to do this all over again. He then just runs his Rajakor into the zone to score it, so he's getting 7, and I'm getting 7. That's the end of turn 7. Oh, and this guy, reforms and runs this way because he's looking to kill more shit. I'm like, oh, this is bad. So yeah, hopefully I'm also reevaluating like which monster to kill, because if I can kill one of the 3 things left and I can be on the zones, it's gonna make it really hard for him to score. So that's what I'm trying to do. So let's go to turn 8. Here's turn 8. Drake kind of gets shot a bunch, but then, reforms and kind of starting to make his beeline to this thing. Monster gets onto the zone, so no one scores this, just do the contesting stands. My opponent scores 7, and I score 3. That's it. Turn 9. Turn 9. So Ironclad gets into there. The MUHUT, with his 12-inch gun, just like throws a Scimitar and kills off the Flame Berserks. Then the Hunter monster kills off the Ironclad, or does a ton of damage. I think the MUHUT actually just side charges it. Oop. Good job, me. There we go. Undo. Side charges the Ironclad, kills it, and then my opponent just runs his Rajakor up here. He clash kills it or something, and then he was gonna move off the zone, but he doesn't, so he can score that and score that, so he gets 7 to my 3. I believe that's turn 9, so let's go look at turn 10. Turn 10, he just runs his MUHUT back onto the zone to score that. He marches the Rajakor off. He goes for a charge, rolls a 1, doesn't get on the zone, doesn't get into my Flame Berserks. I score that, he scores this, and the game ends. Do it in red. I believe it was 71 to 68. So like a really tight, really close game. My big mistake here was not dropping both the Ironclads onto the right side to get double Ironclad supporting each other into the MUHUT. He had both his monsters on the same side, and I found that if you like double monster, it'll usually like push and break through. While I didn't do that, lost my Ironclad, and then that right flank collapsed, what allowed my opponent to like catch up on a ton of scoring. The only thing like lucky for me was that I was focusing on scoring from the very beginning, and then got a ton of early scoring, what kind of, as you see here, kept me ahead until the very end of the game. So that was that. That was the local tournament. I won. I don't know what it says, just my locals, so whoop-de-doo. I was, funny things that did happen, I was called a filthy dwarf in Austrian, but I had quite a laugh about, so doing good there. And then they decided I won best painted for my terrible spray paint job as a joke, and I'm like, thanks guys, please stop. this is not like, please don't do this. I got a promo model. I think it's like a Nords one or something. I'm not exactly sure. And grab some cards. The other guys got some cards, got some minis. They think there was like stickers and stuff. We went through the tournament pack and just pulled a bunch of stuff out. So it was fun. As you can see through the photos, that we did go like pretty late into the night. Things that were going on is that we didn't have timed rounds, so we just kind of played until our games were over. So it just kind of kept going. I think when we ended, we like started at 11 and ended by 6, and that was 2 rounds. And it's like, yeah, I kind of want to go and have dinner. But overall, I enjoyed myself. These were 2 great games. The Sorcerer Kings one was just like, wow, that MUHUT just outputted. This guy has not skipped leg day. So yeah, it was good. Thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying this, I guess, double feature. And hope you guys subscribe and like these videos and check out the podcast, all that stuff. Have a great day. Bye.